Dengue is an illness caused by the dengue virus and is most prevalent in tropical and subtropical regions of the world. Dengue can be caused by 4 different types of dengue virus, or serotypes, all of which are transmitted by the Aedes mosquito. All of the dengue viruses have their roots in monkey species, and each virus was independently transferred to the human species hundreds of years ago. Dengue is believed to have originated in either Africa or Southeast Asia. Dengue was officially discovered in 1943 by scientists studying an outbreak in Japan. Dengue did not become prevalent to the extent it is today until the advent of World War II, which saw the rise of massive global cargo trade and the inadvertent transportation of the Aedes mosquito. Dengue did not appear in the Caribbean or Americas until the 1970s. In terms of symptoms, dengue is probably best known for causing fever and fatigue. However, the disease can also cause headache, joint pain, rash, and mild bleeding. Often, dengue infection is asymptomatic. Dengue becomes especially dangerous if and when it matures into dengue hemorrhagic fever, or DHF, a condition which can cause abdominal pain, severe vomiting, low platelet count, plasma leakage, and most importantly, hemorrhagic manifestations. Dengue hemorrhagic fever usually requires hospitalization and can result in death. Unfortunately, according to the CDC, there is no specific medication or treatment of a dengue infection. Those with the infection are advised to take non-aspirin pain relievers to stay hydrated, rest, and consult a doctor. Because of this limited treatment, most campaigns aimed at reducing dengue's prevalence revolve around prevention via controlling mosquito populations. This reduction is usually facilitated by encouraging those in affected areas to dispose of potable water in potable water containers, where mosquitoes might lay their larvae, and by endorsing the use of window screens and air conditioning. Application of effective insect repellents is also encouraged. Before we discuss anything else, let's take a look at the biology behind dengue. The dengue virus is a member of the flavivirus genus. Other members of this genus are the West Nile virus and yellow fever virus. As I mentioned before, dengue infection can be caused by 4 different dengue viruses, or serotypes. These serotypes are denoted DEN1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of these serotypes shares only about 65% of their genomes with each other. Infection with one serotype does not give a person long-term protection against an infection from another serotype. In fact, subsequent infections by other serotypes of dengue virus are often more severe than the original infection itself. The dengue virus measures only about 50 nanometers across in diameter and has a roughly spherical shape. Like all viruses, its genome is a simple single-strand RNA. The dengue virus replicates via a complex process. This process begins when the virus attaches to a person's skin cell. From here, the skin cell's membrane folds around the virus, forming a pouch, or endosome. Now that the virus is inside the host skin cell, it continues to travel further into the cell, eventually managing to exit the endosome. The virus's genetic information is now able to release into the cytoplasm of the cell. Inside the cytoplasm, viral RNA is able to replicate. Immature viruses begin to develop, mature, and be released from that cell, where they may go on to infect other cells in the body. If the virus is successful at replicating, the person will become infected with dengue. 4 to 12 days after infection, the infected person is able to transmit the infection to the Aedes mosquito, who may then transmit the infection to another human. But how does the human immune system work to fight off dengue infection? And why do subsequent infections from other dengue serotypes often produce results more detrimental than those that occurred during the first infection? When dengue infection occurs, both skin cells and a specialized immune cell, a type of dendritic cell called a Langerhans cell, become infected. Langerhans cells are tasked with reporting infections to lymph nodes, which then mount an immune response. But when these infected Langerhans cells travel to lymph nodes, they target and infect 2 types of white blood cells, which would otherwise be responsible for destroying dengue. Dengue spreads further throughout the body as infected white blood cells travel throughout the lymphatic system. The spread causes high levels of dengue to appear in the bloodstream. Dengue is fought off when the immune system is able to respond to interferons, a type of protein released by infected cells, and can begin to fight infected cells and protect uninfected cells. In the body, the dengue virus is primarily attacked via antibodies produced by B cells, killer T cells, and uninfected white blood cells. An infection from one serotype of dengue renders one permanently immune to that serotype, but offers only a temporary immunity to 2 to 3 months for the other serotypes. This is because the memory cells that protect one from subsequent infection by the same serotype do not apply to the other serotypes. Paradoxically, infection by a secondary serotype is often worse. This is facilitated by antibody-dependent enhancement, a process by which antibodies from the first infection are used to spread secondary dengue infections by helping the virus infect new host cells. The immune system usually responds inappropriately, causing symptoms and the infection to worsen. This effect is exacerbated when cytotoxic T cells of the immune system create excess quantities of cytokines, a type of protein, which can lead to inflammation and capillary leakage. Dengue is an international public health crisis. Up to 400 million people are infected yearly, and about 12,500 people die each year because of the virus. However, there is still no specific prevention or treatment. In 2017, news broke that the widespread implementation of a dengue vaccine called Dengue had been halted in the Philippines. Since then, the vaccine has been pulled from markets because of the detrimental effects it had on children with previous exposure to the virus. Studies have concluded that dengue can cause higher rates of hospitalization upon infection for young children and can raise the risk of enhanced disease in subjects who have never been infected with dengue. The WHO now advises that dengue only be used in adults who have already had at least one dengue infection. Other dengue vaccines are still in trial phases and have not yet been approved by the WHO.